Let's get emotional. What are emotions? Well, they're defined simply as the physiological response to external stimuli. They don't happen here in the head, they happen all over. You know when you get that gut feeling or that weird feeling about something that possibly even your senses couldn't even pick up. But for the most part, it's about our senses, it's about getting all this data to come in, give us some information, set the emotion, then get to the brain, and we respond accordingly. And the simple example is you see something move out of the corner of your eye and you think it's something dangerous and you jump to save your life. Our emotions are there to save us. To know what to do in a social situation when you're talking to someone and you say something maybe that was inappropriate, you see an expression on their face, how you've hurt them, and so then you pull back and you respond accordingly. Let's look at a little bit of modern history about emotions. A few decades ago, Paul Ekman came up with 6 different emotions that you could recognize through facial expressions. Now, he went all over the world. He went to primitive tribes and to figure this out. And we lived with this idea for quite some time. And the 6 emotions were anger, fear, surprise, disgust, sadness, and joy. Now, that went on for years and years. But then in 2014, Glasgow University came up with that there are only 4 emotions. It was only anger, fear, sadness, and joy, and that you could tell from facial expressions. Then University of California, Berkeley came up with, well, actually no, there's 26 distinct different emotions. And just recently, this year in 2020, Ohio State University have come up with that you can't tell emotions by facial expressions. So all those companies that are spending a fortune on getting facial recognition so they can sell you a product, well, it just may not work. But as we know, there are thousands of emotions. A book by Tiffany Watt-Smith called The Book of Human Emotions just talks about all the different nuances of every emotion. I mean, there's some fantastic ones in that book. Basorexia, that urge where you really want to kiss someone. Or the one I really relate to was a French one called dépaysement. And I used to get that when I traveled to another country where I'd feel out of place, that I didn't quite feel part of that country. And it was a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling of awe. It was joy. It was a great feeling. But the one that I made my living from was another French one, appel de vide. That feeling, that strong emotion, you want to leap when you're at top of a cliff or something like that. And that's why I got into high diving and freestyle skiing. So there are thousands of emotions, but I like to simplify it. I believe that there are only 2 categories of emotions. There are energy-giving emotions, and there are energy-using or taking emotions. The energy-giving emotions are joy, or laughing, all those things that just make you lift. The energy-using emotions and the physiological differences, you've got fear and you've got sadness. Both of those take energy from your body for you to fulfill that emotion. So for instance, fear, and if you need, it's real fear, you need to act quickly. It takes up all the resources in your body to act, to fight or flight. Anger is just another part of fear. Anger is about loss. These are often about these emotions that use our energy that we have are about a loss of dignity, a loss of property, a loss of love, a loss of, whatever the loss is, it's about loss, where the energy-giving ones are about gain. Now, sadness, its physiological response is to use our energy too, but in a different way, as opposed to fear, which rises as some heartbeat goes up and bang. Sadness is about sitting down, taking stock of where you are, analyzing the situation, just to stop. Now, these are for our benefit. We do not want to block emotions. We want them. We want to communicate them with ourselves first and then with others. Not trying to hide away from them, run away from them, drink your way out of them, just ignore them. We want to use these emotions. One thing you've got to remember, there are no negative emotions or positive emotions. All emotions are pure. Behavior may be bad, but emotions are pure. Emotions are present tense. They're not from the future or from the past. Emotions happen. They happen right now and they happen quickly. The idea is to let the emotion come over you, respond accordingly, and then let it go. Don't hang on to emotions. No, don't hang on to that sadness. Don't try and hang on to that joy either. Let the joy happen and move on. Emotions are present and they are very fast. Being human is being emotional. And we need to communicate these emotions. We need to communicate these emotions with ourselves first, and then with others. And then rationalize. I am angry because. Don't just go into the rationale. It can confuse the conversation even with yourself. I'm angry. Now, angry is about a loss, it's about fear, it's about justice. Where would the French Revolution be without anger? Now, their behavior was questionable, lopping off heads. Now, Gandhi, as opposed to the French, he used his anger in a different way. His behavior was peaceful, but he expressed his anger and he overthrew the English. But you need anger. Anger is motivating. And you've got to tell people when you're angry and then go into the dialogue about why you're angry. Now, real emotions are present and they come from an external stimuli and they happen fast. Imagined emotions originate from the mind. They're still emotions. They're still real in a way, but they're imagined. So for instance, driving along in the car on the highway, I know I'm going to be late for an appointment. My heart starts beating, and I start holding my breath, and my breath comes up here. I'm experiencing fear of shame that I'm going to be late, I'm disappointing this person. It's a waste of an emotion. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm in traffic, I'm in the car. So straight away, as soon as I recognize that this imagined fear has come into me, I take a deep breath, breathe down low, wash out that fear that was imagined. They say that fear that's in the past is depression, fear about the future is anxiety. Be careful it doesn't over. Your body's got so much energy to give to these things. And it needs to be done when it's real, when it's imagined. Take a deep breath and relax. Emotions are a wonderful thing. They are here for us. So use them for fun and profit. But use them. Don't ignore them. And remember, the most important thing, emotions are pure. There are no negative or positive emotions. There are only emotions. Until next time, keep the spirit.